Alfie, I'm wondering, have you ever seen in real life a moment where someone recreates something that only happens in cartoons? Now, the reason I say this is the other day I was getting off the train in Southampton and there were two burly builder blokes walking along with a big old pane of glass in between the two of them. And obviously, I just never really considered that was a thing that had to happen. I mean, of course it does. Like, glass has got to come from somewhere and people have got to move that thing. But a cyclist basically had to screech to a halt and just stopped before he smashed through it.
No way.
Honest
That's
to
like
God.
seeing like someone slip on a banana skin and seeing their legs go.
It then got me thinking, like, when else has this happened in my life? I used to have a friend at my primary school. He used to run in that comedic way where he'd sort of like jog on the spot and then zoom off, and like his waist would move before his torso does, and he'd kind of run off like whoa, like that.
Very good.
And I don't know if that was a comedic bit, but he did sort of do it at every opportunity possible, like including during football games, during the school sports day, to the point where it was like, yeah, it's quite funny, mate, but like, come on now. Yeah.
I'm really picturing like as he stops as well, he like continues to go on and skids as he's like
Yeah, he'd run off tall buildings and just sort of dangle for a bit and then go like, oh no. Not to put you on the spot, but have you ever experienced anything like that? Have you ever slipped on a banana skin?
You know, I think I have done the banana skin one. Oh no, in the garden the other day, the rake, the classic walking in the garden and stepping on it and it goes doing.
And you've got to do the sideshow bob like That's so good. Hello and welcome back to Moving Up Podcasts. It's episode 103.
Mental,
wink,
mate.
Wink. We'll get into that. It's me, Adam Barlow.
And me, Alfie Walker.
How are you doing, my friend? How are you?
Got a banging migraine today, actually. I've had it all afternoon. Yeah. Whoa! Great attitude for a podcast.
To be honest, mate, I can't be arsed.
I'd rather be asleep. In fact, I was before I joined this call.
I look like I've been asleep. I mean, goodness me, I look whacked.
I think we both look a bit rough, actually. I don't know what's going on. You're looking quite red as well. Maybe it's just my camera, but...
All right, mate, don't be a dick.
Yeah, sorry, all right. You see, I'm repping my new T-shirt, Harrison Ford drinking a Kirin Ichiban beer.
Where did you get that from?
I ordered it especially online.
That's insane. And you can move the face and you can give them different expressions. That's really fun.
Yeah, right. Especially, see,
cool.
Visual elements really coming into play on the podcast right now.
Yeah. Hint, hint, if you're not listening... Sorry, no, wait, if you are listening, but... Well, first of all, if you're listening, thank you for being there. We always appreciate you. We love all our listeners equally. But if you're also watching, it's a visual treat over here. That's all I'll say.
How have you been, Adam Barlow?
I've been all right, thank you, yeah. A hectic week. I've just said off air that I've got my first day off in about 28 days. So that's a real treat.
I don't know how you do it. I genuinely... You must enjoy the radio stuff you're doing, because if you didn't, that would be killer. It would be absolutely... to imagine doing the job I'm currently doing non-stop, I'd kill myself. So it's good that you must at least have a job that you're enjoying and seem to be really getting into. Every time we talk about it, it looks like fun and it looks like having a laugh with the people there as well. So it's cool.
Yeah, it's worth saying that it's Mental Health Awareness Week as well. I don't know if you're aware of that, Alfie, but I'm always here. I'm always here if you need to chat. Ideally, do it with your camera on and with a mic, just so we can get some content at the same time. But it's up to you.
Maybe that's how we get people to email in. They don't want to email in to participate in the podcast. But viewers, if you've got any airs or mental health issues, you can email in at movieup.
That's not a bad idea, to be fair. If you have got any gripes, we could then just really pivot and not address it at all into some sort of self-help.
Like a real agony
guide.
aunt. Like, email us your problems and we'll, like, was it Mystic Meg, the one in the Sun newspaper that she used to do?
Like that.
Yeah.
And also, I met a life coach the other day. I didn't realise they actually existed.
Yeah, that's a fake job.
Yeah. What a strange career path. I mean, I get being a physiotherapist or a personal trainer or, a chef that, this isn't a job, but a chef that helps you cook more healthy foods. But a life coach is so incredibly general because that's not a therapist. It's not like a quantifiable thing.
No.
What do you mean? Like,
what stage of qualification
lives?
do you have to get to be a life coach? Because surely it's just based off your own experiences.
And what's more, he was 38, so he's not even middle aged yet. He's not even lived half a life.
Yeah.
How's he going to coach? I don't get it.
Yeah. What if a 70-year-old comes to him needing help? How does the life coach the person if he hasn't experienced it himself? I need some wise old oracle or a sage to teach me these things. I can't just have some yuppie 30-year-old who's done a doctorate. Like, what?
You need Sir Ian McKellen, and no one else will do.
New career path for you there, Sir Ian, if you're listening.
Yeah, if you're listening, I'm sure you are. He can't stop listening. It's famous on the set.
I can't believe we haven't had him on.
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. He emails all the time. We just choose not to flex on you guys. So we're like, sorry, and we'll get you in the next episode, I'm sure. But yeah, no, famously on set, he's always late because he's listening to our podcast.
That's why the
like
Hunt
that,
for Gollum was actually delayed a bit of time because he was just too engrossed catching up on all 103 episodes.
Yeah, the production name was actually The Hunt for Ian McKellen because he was in his man crush listening to this podcast. The hunt for a new episode of Moving Up. Yeah,
that's what the listeners were doing for a whole month when we didn't record one.
Yeah. Bless them. Yeah, they just wandered into Mordor. Like, there's got to be Moving Up out somewhere.
And it was like when Adam quit. Of course, he was like Frodo when he's like, I can't do it, Sam. I can't do it, Alfie. And I was like, I can't do it, but I can do it with you. And they picked Adam up and carried him all the way to the studio to record a new episode.
And then you threw me into a volcano. It was really lovely. It was nice. It was a good moment. I'll never forget it. Hence, I'm so red now.
Exactly.
That's a callback joke, guys. What we've done there. That's a callback.
That's a reference. If you've lasted through this rambling intro, you've got to appreciate a double-layered joke there. So
yeah, God, we're 8 minutes in. Right, should we cut to the chase? This is Moving Up. If you've not listened before, and you're still here, then flipping heck, fair play. This is where we talk about films, TV, sometimes, I don't know,
Lego, maybe video games in the future. Yeah, a whole host of stuff.
Oh yeah, and we talk about it really well. And
so today, well that we both don't have jobs in reviewing film.
Yeah, but they don't know that. They don't know that. I mean, let's just say we are as qualified to be doing this podcast as that 38-year-old bloke was to being a life coach.
Absolutely.
Which is incredibly qualified.
Incredibly.
Yeah, on today's episode, we are discussing a handful of things, a nice little roster on display for you. We've got a live concert film, which I saw, hang on, let me get the full name. I don't want to mess this up. Otherwise, her lawyers will come at me. It's Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, : The Tour, open brackets, live in 3D, close brackets, subtitle, directed by James Cameron and Billie Eilish.
The James Cameron, everyone, from such films such as Terminator, Terminator 2, Avatar, so many big films, and he's for some reason directing this, which, I mean, you saw, was this a press screening or something, right?
Yeah, it was. Went up to the Odeon, Leicester Square, the fancy one.
The Odeon.
It was in the big old room. Yeah, big old room with the recliners.
The seats look nice on your story. I thought that's not the squeezed in Cineworld that I know.
No. A different class over there, Alf.
Absolutely.
Yeah, lovely recliners. And not only do they recline, you can independently recline the back bit and the foot, so you can actually have it at all different angles. There's popcorn there as well. Not the best popcorn. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, but Odeon, your popcorn on that day was a little bit moist.
Was it freshly popped, or was it ready bagged like the Cineworld?
It was ready bags. That could have been why.
But then the ready bagged from Cineworld's all right. The brand one that they give you, I think.
Well, it wasn't like it wasn't packaged. It wasn't
Right.
sealed, but it was Odeon's popcorn that they popped. I believe.
Right, that's totally why then. So it was warm and went cold.
Yeah, I think that's it. Maybe it might have been a bit buttery, but it didn't, because it wasn't warm. Didn't have that luxurious effect.
Total tangent here, by the way, before we say what other films we're doing this week. I went to Czech Republic recently, and it really is just the UK that doesn't do savoury popcorn. Because I knew America did these sort of slightly more savoury flavours, but in the Czech Republic, they don't do sweet popcorn. Like, it's not a thing. They either do salted or they do cheese. Cheese is the main one. Cheese was everywhere in the shops. Cheese popcorn, butter popcorn, salted popcorn. They don't do sweet popcorn, which I think is so weird, but yeah.
Do they do like dirty popcorn?
Buy me a drink first.
Like, do they put melted cheese and, I don't know, guacamole and stuff like that? Would that work?
Kind of sounds horrible, but I think it might work.
Because potato tots and like French fries, obviously the UK does quite a bit of now, especially in cinemas. That's quite a new development.
And
I feel.
nachos as well, don't we? The classic.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe we're onto something here.
It's not a bad idea, is it?
Anyway, what other films are you going to review this week?
I was going to review The Devil Wears Prada 2 and The Sheep Detectives.
Nice. 3 bangers there. I've only got the one this week. I've got Apex, the new film starring everyone's favourite hunk, Taron Egerton. We've got that to be. Yeah, so four decent, quite big films to talk about here, so should be good.
Amazing. Shall we get straight into it? I guess we may as well. We've killed enough time, Lord knows.
Right. Got to run out of storage on this card. The legacy sequel that everyone was pleading for, some would not say. We've got The Devil Wears Prada 2. I'm going to preface this, I think, by saying I think I've had enough of legacy sequels well and truly now. I think if we don't see another Ghostbusters, I'll be happy. I think the attempts to claw at the wallets of people who have nostalgia for old films is now quite sickening, and I'd quite like there to be more original films in Hollywood. Anyway, The Devil Wears Prada, directed by David Frankel, who directed the first. He's also done Marley and Me and a couple of others. Stacked cast, all returning. Stanley Tucci, Emily Blunt, Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway. The recipe for it, I guess, is quite good. People like a legacy sequel. How was it, Adam Barlow?
I mean, firstly, you come out the gate swinging there again. Just
for someone who hasn't seen the
every-
film, yeah.
Yeah, every sequel film ever. Have you seen the first Devil Wears Prada film?
I have. I'm not a giant fan of it. I mean, it's a nice film. It's quite iconic. Yeah, it's iconic, isn't it? That's what it is. It's an iconic film. I've seen it. I haven't rushed out to see the second one because I don't have that big of an opinion. What about you?
Yeah, I watched the first one recently. I'd definitely seen chunks of it before. My mum's a big fan of it and was very excited to see the sequel. She's now caught up with it separately to me, but I sort of gave her my opinions on it. I was like, it's great in some parts, really messy in others, and I'll get into it. So the first 20 minutes, and I think this has been quite a widely held opinion, is really bad, really bad. Like, I was really thinking, oh my goodness, if this carries on like this,
Well, like cringy.
we're going to have problems. Not cringy, it's just very full on and in your face, because it then sort of has to bullshit a reason for all these characters to come back when it doesn't really make sense for these folks to have not met in 20 years and for them all to convene at one specific building at one specific time. So it's got a lot of heavy lifting to do in that opening act. And it also begins to make a really bold statement about the integrity of journalism and the industry on the whole, And I sort of had forgotten that that's what the first film's about, kind of, because it isn't really. It's more a comedy, because Meryl Streep is Miranda Priestley in such a brilliant, hilarious way, and she's still very funny in this film, and it's quite good to see that character sort of grapple with being PC. Like, they're trying to hire a load of plus-size models and be more inclusive with the types of clothes they're promoting. And she's saying all these buzzwords in board meetings, but not really having any sincerity behind it, behind any of it, which I actually found quite funny, because I think that's probably, sadly, quite relatable to how
that's quite a good
businesses
bit.
like this are run. And Anne Hathaway as well, always a real delight to watch. I think I'm a big fan of hers. She's doing fine work here. Is kind of doing the same arc she had in the first one, to be honest. But as I say, she's in this film much more of a cutthroat journalist, which kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's fine. But in the first 20 minutes, you're like, oh, okay, this is what we're getting. All right, I guess. But I think it's almost too complex for its own good, because it begins, and her whole table of staff at this journalism newspaper that she's been working at is laid off in the opening 5 minutes, just over text. And she then accepts this award for journalism, goes up and then basically breaks down and starts ranting about the industry, saying this is unfair, we're all great journalists and integrity matters and all that stuff. And you're sort of like, oh, okay. And then all the while it's cutting between that scene and Miranda Priestley's in the back of a car with Stanley Tucci, and then someone else, BJ Novak, and someone who plays his dad in this, who is the kind of overarching editor of all the magazines that Runway falls onto. And it's just very choppy and quite preachy. Like, I'm not saying the message is wrong, it's absolutely right to make that statement. I think that's an important thing to put in a mainstream film like this. I quite admire it for that, actually. But it was just very out of place. And when you've not indulged in this world and these characters for 20 years, to come out the gate swinging like that was a bit random. But anyway, after that 20 minutes, it settles in, it finds its rhythm, it basically redoes the first film. And the first film still holds up to this day. It has updated jokes, as I say, and those all hit, I think, for the most part. There's good fashion, it's very glamorous. I think people were saying the lighting looked a bit off. I didn't get that impression in the film. Actually, in the cinema, I think it works. It might lose a bit of quality if you're watching at home. I don't know. Maybe it's just because everything in the cinema, because it's so dark, the colours just work a bit better. I'm not sure. But I didn't have an issue with that, personally. The cast is all fine. You've got Kenneth Branagh in there, not doing a lot. Justin Theroux's very funny in it. You've got Caleb Heron, who was in Marty Supreme. Stanley Tucci, excellent. He's got the smallest role in this film, but by the end, you really are like, he's the heart and soul of these films, not Andy or Miranda or Emily. It's Nigel that's the through line here, which is kind of random. But everyone loves the Tooch, as people call him, I think.
Yeah. I think.
Okay. I'm going to call him that anyway. There's also some glaring issues in it. Like, it's been accused of being a bit out of touch, and almost, I think people have accused it of being racist for one of the characters in this, I think, played by Helen Shen, I want to say, is this quite bookish assistant that Andy's given. And she has glasses and like a little knitted pattern jumper, and she walks around the rucksack and is a bit of an overachiever. People have said that's very stereotypical. I probably agree with that. I think it does feel a bit like a caricature.
I think that's maybe also what this film series is, though, isn't it? I think it's all a bit of a caricature.
That's true. It's meant to be a bit of a spoof, isn't it, of the industry? So actually,
with
you're
the way
probably
Tooch is
right.
in it as well, like the way he prances about and sort of like
yeah.
I mean, it's
you're
not
right.
my place to say, but I always thought it was just a bit more of a piss take in essence, anyway. But yeah,
and there's also a great cameo in there from a singer. I won't spoil who it is, but it's someone I love, and I was actually really chuffed to see her in here. And so that kind of left me, when I left the cinema, I was like, yeah, I like that surprise, that was fun, glad that wasn't spoiled. And a couple of other bits, I thought it wraps up in quite a nice way. Not that the first one didn't, but if they wanted to, they'd probably make a third one in like 5 years' time. Wouldn't be surprised. In fact, place your bets. But I think, it doesn't really do enough to justify its existence, and that's the crucial thing with these legacy sequels, that you've already got such a bar to clear. It's one thing to make a good film, but you've almost got to go further to justify the fact that you've made it, which is quite harsh. But when you are throwing around such vast amounts of money, and you're using these A-list talent actors who could easily be in some sort of Oscar bait drama or Amazon Prime gritty thing, whatever they want to do, they could do something more meaningful than this. Of course, they're doing it for A, the money, and B, to have a good laugh with their mates. I don't blame them. I'd be doing this stuff all the time if I was a big actor, but it is weird that it's taken them 20 years to do it, and this is all they came up with. Okay, I'll level with you, Alf. I had no idea this film was a thing until I stumbled upon a TikTok about 4 days ago of Taron Egerton dancing in a jungle to the Chemical Brothers. That's all I know about this film. I then looked it up. I was like, oh, Apex. Is that a Predator spin-off? No. So I have literally no clue what this is. Do enlighten me.
Wow, what a attitude to be coming in from, though.
Sorry.
No, in a good way. Honestly, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. This is the new film from director. I'm going to get his name up. I'm not going to. Baltazar Kormákur. So, yes, the director. It is a Netflix film, but it seems to be all the rage at the moment. Starring Charlize Theron and Taron Egerton, and that's basically it. There's barely a cast. A film that really knows what it is right from the get-go. I don't think there's any shock that the plot twist, I don't think it's going to shock anyone. I think it's kind of pushed in the promo for the film, if you've seen any clips or trailers, and you can kind of guess it from the way Taron Egerton's doing a bit of a James McAvoy impression in the bit where he's dancing. Yeah, this is Apex, a Netflix film. It's basically focused around Sasha, who in the opening scene, so I will spoil, her husband dies within the first minutes on a giant climb, a giant rock, or a free climb up a ginormous mountain somewhere snowy. And he dies that way. And that's the biggest Chekhov's gun I think I've ever seen in a film, because that's coming right back. You've then got her recovering from her big loss, basically, by going to Australia, and she seems to have stopped doing the rock climbing, and now she just does other adventuring, like walking through these places and sort of whitewater rafting, kayaking, that kind of thing, just exploring nature, basically. And the movie does a really good job at setting a really creepy atmosphere. It's immediately uncomfortable with these like really dirty looking Australian men sort of being a little bit pervy to her in a gas station and sort of asking where she's going, and she's obviously a woman alone, and Charlize Theron does a good job. She's really quite stone faced, but maybe in a good way, not so she's unlikable, but you can just tell she's been through a lot and struggling, and she's doing this to try prove to herself, that kind of thing. And they do a good job at showing, she's on her own here. It's quite tense from the get-go with them scaling the mountain, and immediately you just cut to them in Australia about to go on this giant hike, where she's introduced to Ben, who is Taron Egerton's character. And same here, like I said about the film, from the get-go, oh, he seems lovely. He's definitely going to be the villain in this film. It really isn't hidden. And within 15, 20 minutes, it's revealed that, oh, he's hunting her. And that's what the film is. The whole film is he is the apex predator and she is running from him in the deepest jungles of Australia with no shoes on. So can you imagine that with all the spiders and snakes? I certainly can't. The film looks good. For a home Netflix film, I was really quite impressed. Maybe it's my lack of seeing some films recently, but honestly, the scale of it, the colour palette was sort of like when they were in the snow at the beginning, it was really quite grand. Immediately going to Australia, it was like really sickly looking. It was really misty and green, kind of had the same vibe, almost like, you know, the opening scene of Raiders, where you don't know that Indiana Jones is a good guy, and it's sort of just showing you as under his hat, and it's all misty and it looks ill. The environment they're in looks ill. I think it's really quite well done. The CG and the scale of it, you can imagine hiking through Australia along a river. It needs to be quite impressive, and it actually is. It makes Australia seem scarier than it already is, and especially it does some really good sort of skewed angles of Taron, sort of when it's immediately revealed, oh, he's a right creep and he's trying to hunt her. It will do like the shots of Sasha, of Charlize Theron, will be from quite far away and sort of with some background, and then it will cut to ones of him from like this angle upwards, and you'll have like him looking like a nutcase, really. And it does quite a nice job. I was really quite surprised. I also didn't realise it was a full-blown horror. Absolutely a horror. I didn't click that from the trailers or from anything I'd seen before I watched it. And I honestly enjoyed it more than some of the other horrors I've seen recently. I'm trying to think of the ones I've seen: Primate, Send Help, Housemaid. I enjoyed it more than all three of those. Flat out. I mean, it isn't a phenomenal film, don't get me wrong, but I really did quite enjoy the pacing. It's really fast. It chops along. Like I said, from the get-go, it absolutely knows. It shows you that he's a nut job hunting her, and the whole film was just her being chased. Like I said, it overcomes some things that it sets up earlier in the film. There is quite a good reveal later on. I think it's really quite obvious when in the first sort of 10 minutes of meeting him, he shows how he has homemade beef jerky. You can guess, I guess, can't you? He's a hunter. Like, it's not hard at all, but the twist was nice. It's quite gory. There's a little bit of sort of body horror in there. I think the ending sort of has two halves. You get the initial sort of ending with him as a villain, and then you get the actual ending. The initial ending with him I found a little bit underwhelming, and then it does carry on for another 10-15 minutes where she gets her ending, and it's meaningful to her, and it links back to that beginning of the film with the rock climb, which you can guess from the poster. It's not shying away from telling you what's going to happen in this film. I really quite enjoyed it, though. I've seen reviews. Most reviews are about 3-star. I think that's all I gave it, about 3.5-star. But you know, when you sit down and you put a film on and you're just going with quite mid expectations, and I was like, no, this film looks good. It sets a good atmosphere. It makes him look like a creepy nut job. He's a really good actor, isn't he? He does an excellent job. Charlize Theron is always very good, and she plays this character who is not unlikable, but she's stone-faced and clearly been through some shit, and she plays it off quite well, and you are rooting for her the whole way through, and there's some good moments of like reflection for her in it. I was just quite shocked at how much I actually enjoyed this one.
Nice. I'm glad you liked it. It sounds all right. I mean, the clip I saw of him dancing to that song, it looks quite funky. They
right. I'm just
looking at some of
the McAvoy, like, you know, in Split, when he has the split personalities. That M. Night Shyamalan one. It's a bit like that, where he's just sort of quite normal, and then in the next scene he reveals that, oh no, he's not all there, and he's sort of just doing these weird faces and dancing to that music, and it's a bit cliche, I guess. And every Letterboxd review just says, I heard that James McAvoy wasn't available for this role, so they cast him. Like, it's so clearly that, but no, he plays it well. He's really quite unlikable, because I think he's quite likable. His Australian accent's a bit much, I think, but it's really over the top. But no,
that's what I was going to ask. Is he doing an Aussie accent?
Yeah, he is doing a very, very Australian accent.
Is Charlize Theron Australian?
She is American in the film. Should I have a quick look?
Oh, South African and American. Oh, didn't know that.
I'd have never have guessed that.
How old do you reckon Charlize Theron is, by the way? I've got Rage up.
I'm going to say 40.
She's 50.
Really?
She's in incredible shape.
If I edited in clips into this, I would put up that bit of Flash Heart from Blackadder where he bursts in the room and goes, woof.
Yeah, that's mad.
Yeah, right?
She's a great actress. She sort of shows up every now and then. Is a very good action star, isn't she? I mean, I really liked The Old Guard during lockdown. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah, and Atomic Blonde, I was a huge fan of that when that came out. I remember that being my personality for about 6 months as that film, because it had the Blondie music as well, and I'm a big Blondie fan. She's in The Odyssey coming out as well. That's fun.
Yeah, she is, of course, yeah. Also, I was then, when I mentioned The Old Guard, I was like, I'm sure they did a sequel. I thought that was still on the way, but no, it came out a year ago.
Well, you didn't review that one on the podcast.
No, I certainly didn't. I don't know how I missed that. I was really looking forward to that. I sort of forgot it was the thing, but apparently it's not great. Maybe I should go back and visit that.
We were meant to get her as Doctor Strange's love interest as well, weren't we? Is it Thea? At the end, when she shows up and just slices a hole in the space-time continuum, and then we never got that addressed.
Gosh,
and his third
forgot
eye.
about that. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Amazing. Well, I hope she does actually come back in
Doomsday.
We'll see. We will see. You can keep that in if you want.
Yeah, I hope that yawn wasn't a sign of how you felt about this one, Adam. So this is Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, The Tour, open brackets, live in 3D, close brackets, subtitle, directed by James Cameron. How was it?
I had a really nice time with this, I must say. As a fairly casual fan of Billie Eilish, this film has introduced me to some of my new favourite songs. I've had her albums on repeat since. It's been a week since I watched it. The 3D element, firstly, I'll start with that, is a bit underwhelming, I will say. In fact, sometimes, because it's obviously just a concert film / partially a documentary of her producing the stage production of it, I think it throws you off slightly when it's people waving with their hands. And at one point, I think someone walks through the shot and you're like, what's going on? Who's moving? And you're like, oh no, it's in the film. And that kind of threw me off. And I think beyond a handful of scenes in this 2-hour film, you don't really notice it. So I don't know how expensive 3D is to make. I'm sure James Cameron's got this down to a fine art.
He's the one to ask, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's
He
the
is.
absolute king of 3D films.
He absolutely is, yeah. James
3D Cameron.
3D
That's what
Cameron,
they call
yeah.
him. Yeah, in Hollywood.
Yeah, I was hoping I could come up with something better, but we'll go with that. And yeah, it's a bit sort of a bit of an empty promise, I think, putting that on the poster, because did it make me feel more immersed? Not really. I mean, I'm comparing this majorly to the Eras tour, right, with Taylor Swift. Choreography-wise, stage-wise, costume-wise, the Eras tour is more impressive and magnificent and glamorous in every way possible. But that doesn't detract from what Billie Eilish does here, because the power and the emotions of her songs, which are, they range from being really hopeful and quite cozy to being very cold and depressing and sort of sorrowful, which is not the type of music I typically listen to. And they're all quite grungy as well. Like her aesthetic is very, very her. But I actually found a newfound respect for the music she makes and the place that she holds in the pop industry and in the music industry more widely. Because I think, although it's not a documentary, the bits that James Cameron has chosen to keep in with just those two chatting on a sofa backstage, or like surprising fans by waving out windows, that sort of stuff, it could all seem sort of quite, in the wrong hands, it could have felt a bit cringy, or like a little bit self-serving, a bit like a PR advert kind of thing. But it didn't feel like that at all. I actually felt that although we don't get to see her much behind the scenes, what we do get is really insightful. And I think that's very well selected on James Cameron's part. I know Billie Eilish is also billed as the director here. She absolutely does, does a good portion of the film actually just holding the camera in like on a selfie stick during the gig live. She's clearly very artistic and very, very talented. She's only 24, which makes me feel sick. Yeah.
How old are you?
22. Almost 23.
Yeah, that's mental, isn't it? I didn't realise she was that young.
Yeah, it's crazy. Mad. I mean, Ocean Eyes, which is one of my favourite songs of hers, she sang that, I think, when she was 15 maybe, or 16.
How did
And
I do it?
it's up there. I think it's one of the best songs of the century. Like, it's such a beautiful film, a beautiful song. It's really great. If you haven't heard it, I'm sure you have, but go and check it out. But I really loved some of the music here that maybe I hadn't heard so much in the charts. Like, I really liked Blue at the time from the most recent album. That's really good. I liked Chihiro, however you pronounce it. That's a really good song. And then it reminded me of all the songs beyond things like Bad Guy and the one from Barbie. I was like, while those songs are good and, they're in the public psyche quite a lot, there's all these great songs. She's only got 3 albums and an EP, but every song is like, yeah, this is all so well produced and thought out, and the lyrics hit, and it's great. She's really very, very good. And I'm glad that this film exists to maybe give her a wider audience. She's already got a massive audience. She doesn't need this, but it's made me more of a fan, absolutely.
And same with Sam, isn't it? Who came on the podcast? He said he doesn't really listen to her music, and he said he loved it, and he's been listening to it. So
yeah, I mean, it shows how impressionable I am with just films in general. Like, you could show me most things, and I'd be like, oh, I'm quite obsessed with that now. Normally all legal things, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of bad things in films that you do not want to be obsessed with, but like film merch, like there's a part of me that's looking today at getting a Billie Eilish hoodie. I'm like, would I wear that? Would I look cool in that? Probably not. But I thought about it, and then I saw the price tag and the shipping cost. I was like, But maybe down the line, who knows? And I'll be there, probably trying to get tickets for a next tour, or buying the new album when it comes out, all that sort of stuff. Consider me hooked. Consider me commercialized, okay? Because it worked on me. And I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that, as I said earlier, although the actual concert is stripped back, there's nothing crazy going on. It's quite a bland set. There's some lighting tricks and some maneuvers that she does where she jumps from the main stage to being on like a secondary stage, that sort of thing. That's not anything mind-blowing. A lot of artists do that. But she does it in such a slick way, and you can tell she loves what she does. And that's really infectious. That energy totally comes across. And also, just from a film standpoint, I think, Alf, if you were to watch this, you'd agree, James Cameron is sometimes in shots and you see his way of directing when he first sort of knocks on the hotel door and Billy opens it up and he's like, hey, oh my God, it's Billie Eilish. How are you doing, Billy? You okay? It's me, Jim Cameron. And Billy's like, oh my God, it's Jim Cameron.
The way
so
he
weird.
calls himself Jim as well, yeah.
Yeah. He's Jim, by the way, to his close friend. So we should call him Jim. Actually.
We should. Friend of the podcast.
Sorry, Jim. Jimmy.
Jimmy C.
Yeah, he just seems like a really nice guy. And actually, it's nice to see him talk about something other than tall blue people, isn't it?
I think that's quite true with him, actually, from what I've seen. I think if you list off all the current directors that are so huge, like if you said, do you want to interview Nolan? I'd be shit scared. I'd be like, no, I don't want to. Like, even someone like Nolan, I can't really, Denis Villeneuve, like any of these, Scorsese. I'd be like, no chance. I don't want to. I'd just embarrass myself. But like Danny Boyle and Jim Cameron, they're two people I feel like, yeah, you know what? I'd interview them. They seem friendly, and yeah, like you said, Jim Cameron, Jim. We're calling him Jim now, like he is our best mate. James Cameron just seems like he would be a good time to interview, and he's so passionate. So I imagine, like you said, he's not doing some big CG film here. So I imagine the direction is quite good, and quite good to see that done in a different light.
Yeah. Again, it's a shame about the 3D stuff, but what is there is quite inventive. It really draws you in, and I would say, while the Eras tour made you feel like you were at the gig, this does that as well. But it really felt like I got to know who Billie Eilish is as a person, whereas Taylor Swift I still feel is still like she's kind of always on. Do you know what I mean? And you kind of have to be with a fan base like hers, but I can't honestly tell you what Taylor Swift would be like to go for like a walk at a National Trust place.
Yeah.
But Billie Eilish, I can imagine, would be like jumping on the lions and taking selfies,
walking along tree trunks that have fallen and stuff like that.
Yeah, trying to balance on the path between the gravel and the flower beds. That's
I get exactly what you mean. That's really funny.
Yeah. So I really liked it. And then I was gutted to hear that she's got a boyfriend. Not that I ever stood a chance, but I was like, oh, okay. Because she took him to one of the premieres. I was like, oh, well, okay.
Bit of a tangent, but it's worth mentioning. What's your opinion overall on 3D films? What is your sort of opinion? Because I find that it's just too dark. I don't know if that's me and my weird eyes that I have and my colour blindness or that, but I find when I put the glasses on and I'm watching film, it is too dark, because they do stop the light coming through. It doesn't matter what you put in front of your eyes. I'm not a fan of 3D personally. I know some people love it, but what about you?
That's very interesting that you raised that. I don't know if my issue with it is that it's too dark. I don't think I experienced that. I had that a little bit, actually, now I say that, with the How to Train Your Dragon remake last year, which was kind of random that I saw that in 3D. That was quite cool. It worked quite well for the flying scenes. But a lot of the time, it really depends. Some films use it very well. Like I really loved it with the Mario film. I'd recommend that.
Yeah, I can imagine that works really well. Yeah.
If it's something quite colourful and bouncy, if it's going to add to it, then yeah. But for example, I wouldn't want to see Marty Supreme in 3D, or I don't know what else.
The last film I saw in 3D was The Force Awakens, and that was my final straw, because that's quite a dark film anyway. And I was just like, I can't see what's happening. And I actually took them off for the last sort of half hour and just watched it without them.
But that's weird, because I think I would have thought Star Wars would work in 3D.
Yeah, right. Especially like the Falcon going into light speed, or the sabers being in the foreground rather than the. Yeah, maybe it's just not for me. But I know some people are huge lovers of it.
Yeah. In fact, while we're on this subject, Mandalorian and Grogu coming out
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks' time.
1 week Friday. Yeah.
Mad. I cannot wait.
Tickets are booked.
I was going to have you. Oh, see, I was going to go and see it on the Friday night in iSense, and then if I can, make the trip to London on the Saturday, and go and try out 4DX.
That would be cool, mate. That would be a review for this podcast.
Because I've not done 4DX yet, and I don't think most people in the general public have.
No.
So I thought it might be valuable if I bring my experience of that. I remember Leah sent us a voice note on it, didn't she? What did she see? Was that Wicked?
I think and she didn't know it was going to be in 4D.
Yeah, and she thought she hated it because it was like she was in the tornado. Great. I do think I'm not going to enjoy 4DX, to be honest, but I think if I've seen the film already,
then you did.
And I can kind of guarantee I'm going to have a good time with this film. If I see it before, I'm not going to ruin my experience of the actual plot of the film and stuff. And then if I go up for a day trip, it will just make it more of an event.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Stay tuned.
Look forward to that, guys. This is a huge question to throw on you mid-podcast, but what is your favourite comedy, like TV show? TV show specifically, not film. But what's your favourite? There's so many sitcoms. Like you're a Friends guy, right? Is that yours?
I love Friends. I think I find that more comforting than hilarious. There's definitely funny shows than Friends. Blackadder, it's really good. Mr. Bean's a classic, but I mean it's quite sort of all ages. I don't think I'd watch it now and be in stitches. But Blackadder I would love. I quite like a comedy film that you can quote and sort of pass off as your own. Like I think The In-Betweeners, I've not seen it all, but from what I have seen, that's really good. Arrested Development, Community, Parks and Rec. Yeah.
There's so many, isn't there? My favourite is Motherland, the BBC show with 3 seasons. No, this is no exaggeration. I think I've watched every episode at least 100 times, maybe more. It is constantly on. The way people put the radio on, the way people put YouTube on in the background, it is on every single... I don't think we've had a day in this house where it hasn't been on the TV at some point, and I've watched it before this house. It is just... And I can just watch it again and again and again. It's the most quoted thing ever. Every situation I have with Jake or with Lenny or with my parents, because they really like it as well, there's a Motherland quote for it. I cannot justify how much I love that show, the 3 seasons, right? And when Amandaland came round, season 1, I was a bit gutted because it actually didn't do it for me. As much as Peter Serafinowicz was in it as a South African Johannes, her boyfriend for like 2 episodes, and he was very good in it. The first season didn't do it for me, and I was actually quite gutted. And when season 2 of Amandaland has just come out, and I didn't race to watch it because I was like, it's not doing it for me. And then we binge watched it in a day, and it's only 8 episodes and not very long, but it's really good. Season 2 of Amandaland is really good. I don't know if it's because they've already established all these new characters that they have to, which I guess probably is it. The only returning characters are Lucy Punch as Amanda, and then you've got Joanna Lumley as her mum, Felicity, and then you've got, I don't know the actress name, but the woman who plays Anne. They're the only 3 sort of that have come over from Motherland to this spin-off. And now that we start a season with these established characters, you know who they are, you know their relationship, you know why she's in the area, and that, it's really quite good, mate. I'd really recommend it. I don't know, did you watch season 1 of it, didn't you?
I've seen bits and bobs. Like my mum binged it, the 3 series of Motherland and Amandaland in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, cool.
So whenever I got back from work or from, I don't know, wherever I was, it would be on, and I'd sit down and I'd catch maybe half an episode, and I would admittedly, like, even without the context of the characters and the subplots, I really, really liked it. So I can imagine I should definitely go back and watch it and check it out. I'm sure Mum will join me for the rewatch, but yeah, I definitely need to go back and see it. Because I mean, hearing you, because you and I obviously have very similar sense of humour, so I think it'd be right on my street.
I think it would. Even thinking about it makes me laugh. How funny. No, honestly, I think Motherland is still on top for me, but season 2 of this is up there with it. It's really funny. Lucy Punch is like really funny. She's randomly in, what was she in that I was watching the other day? Oh, Hot Fuzz. She plays the actress in Hot Fuzz, the guy who gets killed, who owns the big house, who's really posh. He gets his head chopped off. She plays his wife in it, or his girlfriend in it. And it was really random when she showed up in that. It made me laugh. But no, she knows exactly what she's doing with it. I honestly think she's sort of like iconic as this character. Joanna Lumley is great in everything. Whether she's doing some documentary on the Gurkhas, or whether she's doing Absolutely Fabulous, or she's doing this, she just thrives. She's so funny. So like such a legendary British icon. She's really quite great. The season delves into like some more, not gritty, that's a stupid thing to say, but just a little bit more adult maybe. Like they talk about her kids getting older and getting into relationships, and her finding like a condom down the side of the sofa and having to work out whose it was, and it's really good. I won't spoil whose it is, but you can guess. It's just, it takes off its own thing now. It's got an established sort of team. The writers on this are the same as Motherland, which includes, I believe, Peter Serafinowicz's sister, which is quite a cool little nod. But yeah, not much to say on it other than I really would recommend people giving this a watch. You actually watch Motherland, watch season 1, catch season 2, because I'd love to see this get a 3rd season, because it's really hitting its stride now and it knows what it's doing, and it is just, it's very funny and relatable and such an easy watch, which is nice at a time where you've got some shows and TV shows that are just a bit hardcore, depressing, or this and that, and just to be able to flick on the TV and watch sort of 30 minutes of just a mum having an absolute mare and adult problems that you can relate to. It's just really enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks good. It looks really good. On the radio station, we've been playing a lot of trails for it, and it's just been a little 20-second snippet of her arguing with Anne, and it's really funny. I'm like, oh yeah, I should check this out.
If you can cast your mind back to all of maybe 13 minutes ago, you said that when you go see a film, you leave the cinema and sometimes you're so easily influenced that you have an obsession over the thing you've just watched on the screen. So what I want to know is, do you now have an obsession over either Hugh Jackman or sheep?
Well, I think that... No, I don't.
So cheap.
Yeah. I don't... I do quite like sheep. I don't know why this is a talking point in the podcast, but I'm doing it. What do you like? What do you think about sheep? Like Louis Theroux. Okay, and do you like sheep? Okay, and does your mother know? Right. I was beginning to wonder why Adam was talking about sheep for so long. The Sheep Detectives is pretty good fun. Pretty good fun. People have been comparing it to Paddington. And I just want to say, whoa, I know this is a film about sheep, but hold your horses, because I wouldn't go that far. It's got its moments, don't get me wrong, it's quite chucklesome throughout. The CGI is fine. At no point do you think they're real sheep, of course, because they're talking and they're being very exaggerated. In some ways, it's probably better than the Disney live-action films, actually, like Lion King. I think
at least they've got personality.
It's better
right?
here. Yeah, 100%. It's got stacked cast as well, which I didn't really look into before I saw the film. So I then was trying to guess as I was watching it who's involved. So you've got Hugh Jackman in it, who's like actually in the film. But then voicing sheep, you've got Bryan Cranston, Brett Goldstein, Bella Ramsey, Regina Hall, Patrick Stewart, Rhys Darby, Chris O'Dowd, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays the main sheep. And I had no idea that it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus, because this is such a British film. Like, it's set in a very quaint English village. It's a murder mystery. It's a little bit like Last of the Summer Wine, that kind of like sort of farty little town village. Everyone's a bit like, like pottering about doing their own stuff. And Hugh Jackman's farmer keels over and carks it. And then it becomes a murder mystery with the sheep who Hugh Jackman would read murder mysteries to, like Poirot and Christie.
Oh, right, okay. I'm sorry. Let me interrupt. The sheep are doing the detecting.
Yeah, as the Sheep Detectives title would allude to, yeah.
I presumed it was Hugh Jackman was a specific occupation, was a sheep detective, and he would do the detecting of the missing sheep. I didn't realise. No. The trailer did this, because the trailer in the cinema, let me point this out, doesn't actually show you the film. It just shows you Hugh Jackman talking at the audience, and it really irritates me because it doesn't convey what the film's about. I cannot believe the sheep are the detectives.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt, that's what it is. I'm sorry you didn't know this.
How do they get about?
Quite fundamental.
On all fours all the time? Do they
No.
Anthropomorphic and go on two legs, or...
Don't be stupid. No, they walk like normal sheep. They don't hold pipes and put on hats or anything.
Trench coats.
Still sheep. Yeah, and they can't talk to humans as well. That's always a good distinction to make in these types of films. You've got to lay out the groundwork, know what's going on here. So the actual suspect of the murder that happens are all human, but the sheep are helping this really idiotic police officer who is terrible at his job and should not be employed in any line of profession, let alone police work. Played by an actor I recognise. I don't think I've seen him in anything else. Nicholas Braun.
He plays Greg in Succession.
Right.
That's probably where you've seen his face.
I found him a little bit irritating, I must admit.
He's irritating in Succession as well. So
well, there we go. I think it's maybe, I don't know if it's the character he's playing, or if he just looks really gormless. And I get that is the character he's playing, but I found him quite tricky to watch. So thankfully the sheep are on screen a lot more. Emma Thompson is in here, of course she is, and Nicholas Galitzine as well, who's been in quite a bit recently. I think he's playing He-Man in the new live action film of that. He-Man.
He-Man.
Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman, Kill Bill 3. No. Sheep Detectives 1. This is... Yeah, it's a really weird film because it's just very random. It feels like a film that should have come out in like 2009 and like gone straight to DVD or something. But
it's giving Babe the Pig. That's immediately what I think of, and it's a farm animal. Yeah. I don't want to group all farm animals together. You know, that's a bit bias of me, but immediately I'm going to group them together, pigs and sheep, aren't you? Like,
you are. You're going to do that. It's a really interesting film because, I said it's a bit chucklesome. It's also quite cringy at points, I would say. But, and this has become a bit of a trend on social media, the last half hour steps up to 11, and it actually then becomes a really out of nowhere, genuine. Like there's a turning point in this film where you're like, oh, okay, and all of a sudden this film goes from being kind of tacky and a bit like, okay, why is this voice cast involved? And it then gets quite dark and quite introspective. And by the end of it, I'm not kidding, I had tears in my eyes, and I turned to Tamsin, and she also she'd gone like totally. You could hear sniffles in the cinema, and I'm like, what am I watching here? Like the Sheep Detectives, and I don't think quality-wise it's a lot more uneven than Paddington and those films are. I think Paddington also does a good job at landing that final emotional hit. Paddington 1 and 2 anyway. And Paddington 3 as well. I will stand by that. But this film is it's a bit naff at points. And then all of a sudden makes a really impactful comment about memory, about trauma, about life and death. Like there's some really dark jokes in there as well, which you kind of just sweep under the carpet. You go like, that was a bit risque, and then it gets to the end and you're like, oh, it's gone full blown, like this is about death, it's like a metaphor for death, the whole film. And you're like, who wrote this, which psychopath has done this children's film and made it into like some sort of ITV BAFTA winning drama? It's out of nowhere, it's mental. And it kind of works, and I don't quite know how or why or who's to blame. But the Sheep Detectives, take tissues because it's really fucking sad. It's unfairly sad. Like it yanks on your heartstrings. You're like, bloody hell, sheep. Tone it down.
I mean, reviews wise, like you've said, they're through the roof. I guess maybe. You always remember what happens in the last bit of the film, don't you? That's how you leave with your impression. So I guess, like you said, if that last half hour is so impactful, it seems so silly talking about the film about anthropomorphized sheep.
I know.
Yeah, if the film's that impactful, then I guess people are leaving with that in their head as they're going, so they're forgetting about the initial bit. What's the runtime looking like? Because I'm just really struggling in my head to work out how they've stretched this premise out over a whole film. I feel like the plausibility of sheep navigating the world as a detective, a big group of sheep as well. Like, how are they searching for clues?
To be honest, I don't want to spoil it, Alfie. I don't want to ruin it for you. It's 110 minutes, so.
It's long.
I'd say a bit over long. I think you could
shave,
or could I say shear off 20 minutes.
This is a Tom Cruise length film, if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, it's 90 minutes. I don't know how. There's definitely a lot of like silly bits in here that I'm like, you're sort of, yeah. Someone had to shush me. I kept making noise. And no, what a mess. I mean, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. It's the Sheep Detectives. It shouldn't be that good, and yet it kind of is. I was just checking on Letterboxd then. I wasn't on my phone to be rude, but 4 stars I gave it.
You gave it 4 stars. Bloody hell. It must be good then, mate. I don't know why.
The last bit I must stress though is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Right. I think it's very average fare up until a turning point, and then it's like, oh fuck me, this is really profound. Like, honestly, it's like I'm taking the piss. I promise you.
Film.
Yeah, mad. What should I say? Mad.
Phenomenal.
Chin chin.
Chin chin. Right. In a change to your usual schedule of viewing, we are now going to promote the big question in the previous episode. So hold your horses or hold your sheeps, like Adam said. This week's
big question
is: do you like 3D films?
Do you like 3D?
Do you like 3D?
Yeah. Do you like 3D?
There we go. So please let us know if you're a fan of 3D films. Like we said, I'm not. Adam's a bit iffy on it. But let us know if you've had any like good 3D experiences. Maybe, what films are good to see in 3D. That's good. Let us know if there's any specific films that you've seen that actually like blew you out the water in 3D. Any films where your 3D experience was horrible, maybe. Let us know. Please get in touch with us. So answer the big question for us, and then also anything else you want to let us know about, please do. It's hello@movieonup.com.
Or you can drop us a DM, a direct message on Instagram and TikTok. The handles for both those platforms are @movieonup.
Cheers for listening today to episode 103.
103, can you believe it?
Can you believe it? It's almost like it's 104, but not.
It's almost.
Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And any last words, Adam Barlow?
Meh.